Before we start with that, I want to ask you a little bit about your experience with Balenciaga and the campaign that you're just launching these days. So, how is that done?
Well, they were great to work with, and actually, the Balenciaga team chose one of my more challenging mannequin videos as the kind of jumping off point for what I would do with them. And I enjoyed working, doing the project from start to finish. And I had it in mind that this, of course, was advertising and that it needed to fulfill a certain function. But within that, I think that they gave me pretty wide latitude and in terms of the art direction of the campaign. And I actually found it fun. Like sometimes as an artist, it's more interesting to work with limitations than having someone tell you you can do everything. So, and those kind of emerged organically as we uh, developed the campaign. So there was a lot of stuff we ended up not using because we produced a lot during the shoot. And then it was a matter of kind of batting ideas back and forth, and they would have weekly meetings and review what was being worked on, and then we'd make revisions. So it was really a kind of collaborative effort. And another part of it for me, it was interesting to be able to work with top camera people and technicians. So that part of it was really fun too, to try out things on a scale that ordinarily I couldn't afford to do.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely great. Was it your idea to use mannequins, or was it the idea of Balenciaga?
Well, the way it happened was that someone from Balenciaga saw my mannequin videos and liked them. So I was kind of invited on that basis. But I did two campaigns. I did the ready to wear, and that's where the mannequins figure in. But then also I did their accessories campaigns. And there the images just consist of photographs they had already made of the accessories. But um, what I contributed was doing AI descriptions of the accessories. So first you see the description, then the image with a text to voice um, voiceover for that. And I don't know if the accessories campaign has been launched yet. That's following the ready to wear by a few weeks. So some of that stuff may not be out yet.
Okay, maybe you can show us something.
I certainly can.
That's great.
I'll go into screen share and I will share this. All set?
Yeah.
Okay, here goes. And nothing is happening. Oh, there we go.
All right. I love.
Yeah. So technically, what was going on there, um, the background was changing, going through like a spectrum. In the long video, we go all the way from red to violet through the whole spectrum. Then the mannequin is rotating, but then also the camera is tracking in. So there's like sort of three dynamics that are going on all together. And then one of the technical challenges was that we had to track the camera in according to the time of one rotation. Like we couldn't track in and have the mannequin facing in a random way. Like we wanted to finish the shot with the mannequin facing forward.
It's
So we're
fantastic.
bringing a lot of different, from a technical end, it looks very simple, but from a technical end, it was a matter of coordinating these three factors.
To me, it doesn't look simple at all. But also, perhaps what I found most interesting about it is how much it reflects the zeitgeist and the impossibility of being in physical contact with people. So I thought it was a fantastic idea to have you, who have so much experience. You've used mannequins. I don't know for how many years, maybe 30 or 40 years. No, less, maybe 25 years at least.
I think the first mannequin piece I did was in 88 or 89, maybe something like that. Um, but also, I mean, it's funny because we've seen things like when restaurants had closed because the pandemic and started opening. There were some things that appeared online where the management would put mannequin diners, which and there was one restaurant I think in Baltimore where they had these mannequins dressed sort of like in Great Gatsby like clothing, so it was very peculiar. And then the various like sports events where I think this happened more in Asia, where they put mannequins in the stadium.
Yeah,
Yes,
I've seen that.
just so all the seats wouldn't be empty. And there was like one scandal, I think it may have been Korea, I'm not 100% sure, where sex dolls were used. And then people were outraged that it was like sex dolls in the stadium. So,
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, no, I like the campaign very much. I'll leave a link to the video. I like it very much because it's something very eerie. It doesn't make you feel comfortable, and I really like that Balenciaga is taking that kind of risk. So when you hire an artist like you and other people that I've seen that they've been working with, like John Rathman, for example, or Will Benedict, it's another idea. It's a completely different thing because with artists don't want to comfort you. No, artists don't want to reaffirm your the way you see the world. It's always a little bit uncomfortable, and I think that some people who are into fashion might find that more difficult. So, what do you think that the reaction has been? What have you heard?
well, it's funny because Aura sent out links to a lot of our friends, and the
Me?
general reaction has been that there was like a scary element, which I've been working with mannequins for so long, like I don't so much see the scary side. But it's funny when I first started working with mannequins, Or and I were living in a small walk-up apartment on the Lower East Side, and um, I had this mannequin standing in our living room. It was a pretty small space, and Aura would always jump when she came in because it was like there was like a person already in the room, which was like that was my motivation for putting a mannequin in a gallery space. Like there's somebody there before you. But after you do like 10 or 20 mannequin works, it doesn't have the same charge. And it's funny, I have one friend, Elise Goldberg, who used to work at James Cohen Gallery, and she did a lot of work actually with the Smithson estate. But she said she saw it also as like this kind of open. She saw it a little more the way I did, like opening, like a kind of futuristic take on the looks, but also implying that it was like open for everyone, that there was like this with this accelerating sound. She actually put it better than I did. But that's kind of how I saw it, and I also just saw it in a way like a big part of it was also the soundtrack and the musicality of it, but a very minimal musicality. And yeah, I've been, you know, minimal music has been something that's been kicking around in my head for a long time. And there was a period when Yuta Kotar and I played with Tony Conrad, who's, one of the founders of minimalist music and cinema for that matter, too. Um,
Yeah.
so, So those were partly was like channeling those things, and one thing that does run throughout minimalism is it's kind of like a reordering of how you perceive things, and so um, it's kind of phenomenological in a way, uh, and even bands like Sonic Youth that grow out of like a concrete use of sound. A lot of it has to do with like duration and perception, and also like this doesn't so much pertain to what I was doing, but specific sound in a specific space. I mean, there's some connection, but trying to use it uh, sound in a concrete way. So I was thinking of it more like that, and I do think that there is like a kind of liberating potential to that.
Yeah, I've seen you use that already, that quality of music in many of your works. But in any case, of course, that this is one of the things that I told you when I saw it for the first time. That it reminded me of Freud's concept of the uncanny when he's describing the Ernst Hoffmann story, The Sandman, and the whole thing is about not knowing if the mannequin Olympia is dead or alive. And I think your campaign today, more than ever, is making us think about those kind of issues, because probably our relationship to our bodies has changed a lot in social terms as well. So,
Yeah,
mhm.
and our relationship to others, because there's like face-to-face contact has become so truncated.